Hi, my name is Yin Gao and welcome to Dr. Gao's classroom. I'm a professional philosopher and I love classical Chinese poetry. I have been translating classical Chinese poetry with a friend of mine and I would love to share my knowledge with you. Your enjoyment is my command. I have posted several videos on the topic of poetry and politics. I'm going to do more videos on this topic in the future when I talk about the role of poetry in the politics of Shang Dynasty. So far, I have done 5 videos on this topic, touched on different aspects of the connection between poetry and politics, except the why question. After all, no other culture regarded poetry as an important part of politics, let alone make it an essential part in recruiting officials in their bureaucratic system, except in Imperial China and a few other Asian countries who are culturally close to Imperial China, such as Korea, Japan, and Vietnam in the past. Poetry plays quite different roles in different cultures, especially in religion, which I'm not very familiar with. So if any of you like to make a comment and telling me what are the roles of poetry in your culture, I would love to hear from you. I read every comment you left here. So today, I'm going to address the why question and explore why poetry is so important in the politics of Imperial China. What is the philosophical argument for the emphasis on poetry? What socio-political theory placed the poetry at the very center of political practice in Imperial China? Why poetry was included in the training, recruiting, and assessing scholar officials? In my next video, I'm going to translate one poem from the Book of Songs, or Shi Jing, to illustrate why poetry is so important in the politics of Imperial China. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medical literature. If you like the content of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons for these subjects, so if you like to read those original classics, please contact me. Here's my email address. Before I get into poetry, I need to talk a bit about the Confucian political theory. I'm so excited I finally get to talk a bit Confucian philosophy. This is my field of expertise. Any Confucian scholar would tell you how significant a role played by rituals or li in constructing the socio-political structure in a Chinese community. Young children are expected to learn social norms, which prescribe their social roles at home, their community, in the Chinese society, so that they would grow up to be a responsible member in their families and communities. The best of them would be selected via civil service examination to be officials in the bureaucratic system that governed the whole society. This is true for most of imperial time of China. Even today, this is still partially true. The rituals prescribe simple norms such as table manners to the fundamental ethical principles such as how to behave in society at large and what obligations and responsibilities one owes to his or her family and to the rulers and the state. In the West, a lot of scholarly research has been done in translating and interpreting Confucian ethics and political theories related to ritual practice. There are also lots of documentaries interpreting Confucian ethics and political theories based on their understanding of the role of ritual performance, or li. However, the scholarly attention paid to the other integral part of the ritual performance, that is, the musical performance, or yue, is far less comparing to that for ritual performance. Although musical performance was regarded as equally significant in the Analects of Confucius. Yue in classical texts include the performance of singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments. In the Analects, ritual and musical performance are often discussed as one system that functions as the organizing mechanism for a community. Through performing the ritual and music, that is, the rituals along with the singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments, people were organized into a hierarchical socio-political structure where everyone was expected to perform his or her duties in this structure, just like they played their roles in the ritual and musical performances. The great Chinese philosopher Roger Ames, when articulating Confucian ethics and political theory, has this to say: the goal of living, then, is to achieve harmony and enjoyment for oneself and for others through having an optimally appropriate way in those roles and relationships that makes us uniquely who we are. The analogy with music here is irresistible. Harmony requires that each component maintain its own integrity and be itself, while simultaneously joining in and integrating with other participants to form an organic unity, distinct from and more than the sum of its parts. The unity of each of us emerges as we pursue this inclusive harmony within the orchestra of our roles and relations. The historian of early China from Pennsylvania State University, Professor Erica Brantley, when analyzing the first paragraph of Zhuangzi chapter 2, argues that Zhuangzi holds the position that music is not an analogy to how cosmos works, but it is how the cosmos actually works. This is what she has to say. In this passage, just as the breath of human creates music through 13 instruments, the wind of earth creates a chorus of harmony of nature sounds, and the piping of heaven or tianlai produce a diverse harmony of self-motivated life forces among the myriad creatures. The depiction of music as the way of cosmos is so deeply embedded in this passage that I believe it makes much sense to interpret the comparison literally rather than figuratively. In other words, in terms of the working of cosmos as a form of music, and not merely as a process similar to music. It is for this reason why the Book of Song was used as a textbook by Confucius to teach his disciples about how to become a 君子, or exemplary person, who would play a leading role in organizing the ritual and musical performance, hence also play a leading role in organizing and maintaining the socio-political structure in a community, a state, as well as in the whole empire. According to the analects, Confucius regarded learning of poetry as the essential medium via which one expresses and establishes oneself in a community. The master said, if you do not study the songs, you would be at a loss to what to say. In another more detailed discussion of studying poetry, the master instructed his disciples about the significance of learning poetry from the Book of Songs. Let me just read the passage. 子曰：小子，何莫学夫诗？诗可以兴，可以观，可以群，可以苑。耳之视父，远之视君，多识于鸟兽草木之名。Now let me look at the passage word by word. 子 means master, 曰 means said, 小子 means young boy, 何 means why, 莫 means not, 学 means learn. Fu here is an emphasis word with no meaning, and 诗 refers to the Book of Song or 诗经. 诗 means poetry or song, 可 means can, 以 means buy something, 兴 means arouse, 可 again means can, 以 means by something. 观 means observe. And then 可 again as can. 以 by something. 群 means crowd. 可 means can. 以 means by something. 怨 means criticize or complain. So the 3 lines reads, the master said, my young friends, why don't any of you study the songs? Reciting the songs can arouse your sensibilities, strengthen your power of observation, enhance your ability to get on with others, and sharpen your critical skills. Ames and Rosemont added their interpretation in the translation of Xing as to arouse sensibility, and Guan as sharpen one's power of observation, Qun as to enhance one's ability to get on with others, and Yuan as sharpen one's critical skills. 耳至士父，远至士君，多识于鸟兽草木之名。耳 means nearby. 知 is a connecting word that have no meaning here. 士 means serve. 父 means father. 远 means far away. 士 means serve. 君 means lord or king. 多 means increase. 识 means recognize. 鱼 means above. 鸟 means bird. 兽 means mammal. 草 means grass. 木 means tree. 知 here has some meaning. It means of something. 名 means name. 多识 is translated as instill a broad vocabulary for making distinction, which is a reasonable translation because 识 also has the sense of distinguish one thing from other things. 鸟兽草木之名 is simply translated as the world around one, which is kind of implied in the original text, the names of all the mammals and other creatures. So it's the world around oneself. The 3 lines reads, close at hand, it enables you to serve your father. Away at court, it enables you to serve your lord. It instills in you a broad vocabulary for making distinctions in the world around you. So, according to Confucius, poetry is the way one can best express oneself and establish one's position at one's home, community, and state. In other words, poetry is the means by which one obtains and wields one's political power. There was another interesting conversation between the master and his disciple Zilu about ritual and musical performance. The conversation is a bit long, so I'm just going to read the translation from Rudyard Ames and Henry Rosemont's translation without translating the passage character by character. But of course, if you would like to read it character by character, you can contact me. Were allowed a way to turn the administration of his state over to you, what would be your first priority? Asked Zilu. Without question, it would be to ensure that names are used properly. 证明, replied the master. Would you be as impractical as that? Responded Zilu. What is it for a name to be used properly anyway? How can you be so dense? Replied Confucius. An exemplary person, or 君子, defers to matters he does not understand. When names are not used properly, language will not be used effectively. When language is not used effectively, matters will not be taken care of. When matters are not taken care of, the observance of ritual propriety and the playing of music will not flourish. When the observance of ritual propriety and the playing of music do not flourish, the application of laws and punishment will not be on the mark. When the application of laws and punishments is not on the mark, the people will not know what to do with their hands and feet. I copied every word from Ames and Rosemont's translation except the last underlined bit. I translate the original characters of 手, 足 literally as hands and feet because I need to explain something relevant to hands and feet. Now, let me unpack this conversation. First, let me explain what is 证明. This is a moral request that people do what they preach. For example, if you call yourself a father, then you should fulfill the fatherly duty, such as providing for your children, be a good moral model for them, and more importantly, instill the right moral value in them. The same goes all the other social roles in a society. If you call yourself a student, then you should study and do the homework, pass the exam, etc. If you call yourself a political leader, then you should play the role of a leader in organizing and leading political movements. Work for the benefit of the community who trusted you with political power and fulfill your duties once you win the election. If you fulfill your duties, then your speech would mean something to people. That is, your order will be followed, your command will be obeyed, and the affair you manage will be accomplished. What is interesting in this conversation is the connection between the observance of ritual and musical performance with the application of laws and punishment. How are they related? Maybe we can punish someone who did something wrong by making them perform some kind of rituals, such as confession and repentance in Christianity. Well, that is not what Confucius meant here. As I mentioned earlier, Confucians believe that the members of a community learn about their moral roles from participating in ritual and musical performance, or 礼乐. In other words, 礼 and 乐 not only teach people the norms accepted in their community, but also the right and wrong, as well as legal and illegal behaviors. Therefore, only when 礼乐 flourishes, people would understand what is right or wrong, as well as legal or illegal. Hence, the application of laws and punishment would make sense to them. More importantly, 礼乐 literally teach people how to behave by showing where to put their hands and feet. How do you do that? By participating in the singing, dancing, and performing rituals. Apparently, Confucian ethics and political theory do not make a distinction between morality and legality. The Confucian ethics and political theory are articulated clearly and in more detail in the chapter on music, or 乐记, in the Record of Rights, or 礼记. Here are two passages I quote from 乐记. All songs come from the heart. When a person's heart feels joy, his song is broad and soothing. When his heart feels love, his song is soft and harmonious. The former sage kings were very cautious with what emotions were aroused among their subjects, hence implemented right to lead the subject's intention, composed the songs to harmonize the subject's voices. Hence, the Tao of governing comes from assimilating the hearts of the people. When a person is moved inside, he expresses it in the songs. When his songs are organized into patterns, they become a song. An orderly state's songs are peaceful and joyful, and its polities are harmonious. Governing the subject's hearts with the songs make them agreeable, honest, caring, and righteous, and they would be content and settled. Hence, the former sage kings devised the songs of elegance and odes to lead their subjects, so that their songs can express their emotions without being excessive. Their lyrics are expressive without being pedantic. Hence, when listening to the songs of elegance and odes, one's intention and feeling can be broadened. So the Confucian political vision is that everyone should participate in the communal ritual and musical performance. Some of them will emerge and take the leading position and establish themselves as exemplary person or 君子 for others to emulate. If everyone acts according to the social norms prescribed in the record of rights, political order will emerge by themselves. It is in this sense the function of 君子or exemplary persons are very important in Confucian political order. And of course, the exemplary person or 君子 would also be the most qualified to be in office, to assist the emperors in governing the whole empire. Long before the establishment of civil service examination, the ability to compose essays and poetry were already a talent recognized by the ruling class to recruit a candidate for office. As recorded in the Analects, citing and composing poetry, along with performing ritual and musical performance, become an essential means for an inspired and ambitious young man to obtain recognition and political influence. This was true mostly due to the development of social mobility starting from the Warring State period, that is, from the 5th century to the 3rd century BC. Until the Warring State period, political power was exclusively inherited. The state of Qin was the first to break this rule by awarding soldiers and generals for their military achievements with land and titles. Other states also adopted a similar policy to recruit officials either by merit or recommendation to complement the old inheritance system. By the Han Dynasty, between the end of the 3rd century BC to the beginning of the 3rd century AD, although most officials were still sons and younger brothers of the aristocrats or achieved their positions through recommendations, the Han Emperor also invited no scholars to take up office on the basis of their virtue and talents. Hence, to build a reputation of virtue and talents become very important for one to move up in social status. In addition to the roles played in the ritual and musical performance, poetry also had another role. Ever since the Han Dynasty, the central government would not only have their scholar officials and musicians composing songs to perform in the ritual ceremonies, but also collect folk songs that reflects the moods and intention of their subjects, so they could amend their policies and strategies accordingly. Poetry became the medium for communications between the ruling class and its subjects. Hence, composing songs, that is, poetry, become an essential skill for officials to perform their duties. A more fundamental reason for the significant role of poetry in politics is, as shown by my quote from Roger Ames and Erica Brindley's books, that the ancient Chinese believe that the world we live in is fundamentally musical, and human beings should live their lives according to the rhythms of this world. Performing the ritual and music in accordance with this cosmic rhythm is part of the practice to harmonize the heaven, earth, and human beings. These ideas are clearly presented in the Confucian classics of the Book of Change, or Yi Jing, the Record of Rights, or Li Ji, and the Taoist classics of Dao De Jing and Zhuang Zi, as well as other classics such as the Annual of Master Lü Buwei, or Lü Shi Chunqiu, and Master Huainan, or Huainan Zi. Such metaphysical views are, to many people's surprise, most clearly articulated in classical medical texts, such as the Yellow Emperor's Internal Medicine or Huangdi Neijing. I won't have time to talk about these metaphysical ideas here, but I'm going to do a few videos on these subjects in the future. The best summary of the connection among poetry, ritual, and musical performance is the 3 lines in the Analects. 子曰：兴于诗，立于礼，成于乐。子 means master, 乐 means said, 兴 means inspired or arose, 于 means by, 诗 means song or the book of song, 立 means establish, 于 means by, 礼 means rituals, 成 means complete, 于 again means by, 乐 means music. The master said, find inspiration in the book of songs, get yourself established by rituals, and perfected yourself in musical performance. There are many different translations for these 3 short lines. I consulted many different translations and my own understanding of Confucian vision of political order and choose this translation. I'm just going to explain a little bit more about the Book of Songs. So the Book of Song consists 3 sections: 风, 雅, 颂. 风 includes folk songs from different states, reflecting the feelings and intentions of people from different areas. 雅 is made up by poetry and songs used for formal banquets and ceremonies. 颂 consists of odes, hymns, and eulogies for heroes, etc., for ritual ceremonies. So studying the Book of Song will certainly allow one to understand the costumes, cultures, and traditions from different regions, learn to express oneself elegantly, as well as instill the right moral principles in oneself. It also teaches one how to use the songs and odes in ritual ceremonies and find inspirations about what one wants to be. Learning Li means not only just learn the moves of performing rituals, but also find one's roles in a family, a community, or a state. By participating in ritual performances, one gets to establish oneself. However, it is the musical performance that perfects one's self-cultivation. It is in the poetry, the singing, and dancing that one not only achieve a harmonious relationship with the other human beings, but also with the cosmos. Poetry, singing, and dancing are also ways one gets into steps with the cosmic rhythm. These are the reasons why poetry is so important in the politics of imperial China. No wonder poetry was eventually included in the civil service examination for scholar officials. Poetry was not only the best way for one to express oneself, but also an integral part of the governing mechanism. For my next video, I'm going to talk a bit more about Confucian's political vision and the discussion he had with his disciples about learning poetry. I'm also going to translate and analyze one poem from the Book of Songs to illustrate how one should cultivate oneself to become an exemplary person. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry. If you like the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medical literature. If you're interested in reading classics on these topics, please contact me. Here's my email address. Otherwise, thank you for viewing my video and hopefully I'll see you next time.